right, thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Morning Cafe. It's Wednesday, and that means it's time for Relationship Wednesday, where we talk about all matters relationships. This morning, we are talking about partners and exes relationships. If your partner is still in talks with his or her ex, how does that make you feel, and what does that mean to you? That is a question you're also asking online on TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X at TV47 News KE. You can tag me as well at Ann_Dida. Shortly, there will be a line on your screen and number. We'll be very happy to hear from you. You can call in as well just to be part of this conversation. You already have our panel on set ready for this particular conversation that you're having this morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I trust you're well. I'll start with you, Simon, now that you're next to me. When you hear about, your partner, your current partner still being in talks with their ex, what does it tell you about who they are? What crosses your mind when you hear that, when you find them, when you catch them?
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. First, I'll say that it's appropriate, and at the same time, it's not appropriate because the social interaction in society, you cannot really tell if I interact with you today, whether it is wrong or right. What we have to ask ourselves, how is the interaction? Because I might be part of your social capital, you are part of your social circle, but then my big approach about whether my ex, whether my partner is in talks with their ex, it's all about how they do it. I'm not just looking at the label ex, I'm looking about what are you talking about? What could be the emotion? What makes you to talk? It's the high time that we really need to move from this thinking of, because that ex, maybe it's bad, maybe it's me. Because relationships do end, and there are many reasons why they do end. Not just because of dysfunction, but because of maybe geographical changes, time. I take a relationship as a contract. So if a contract ends, I'll not be having any problem with if you still talk to your ex. Maybe she or he is part of your social capital. So I'm just okay with it. It's appropriate and at the same time not appropriate.
So for you, you'd say you'd feel very, very okay and confident to just keep in contact with your ex despite, let's say, your partner's views on that particular situation or arrangement that you have?
I have no problem because what I really matter is there's this thinking that many people have about relationship. Not all relationships, we should not view the previous relationship as a danger, as a threat to the current relationship. What we need to have is the emotional balance. And by the way, talking to your ex, or rather to your friend, mwenye alikuwa hapo, shows like your emotional intelligence, shows how you are able to cope up with things, shows that you've made peace with it and you are able to interact with them. So on me as a current partner, I'll not have any problem. Just the balance, how you do it. Do you affect my emotions? How do you do it? And sometimes this sparks a lot of problem when it comes to maybe cases in courts. We've seen like this scholar who was giving his views on marriage. I'm borrowing this thinking from the previous discussion we had, whether dating is dead or not, because I was following. There's a scholar called Chalom Bobu was writing on the law of evidence, and there's a part of his articles, he talks about marriage and cohabitation. So like a partnership, or rather a relationship, from a lawyer point of view, I take it as a contract. I'll not be having any problem. It's okay. But as I told you from the beginning, what are you talking? What are you saying? Yeah.
Okay. Kevin, is it appropriate or inappropriate to keep contact with your ex?
Yeah, it is yet another fine morning. TV47 has given us another opportunity to deliberate all the issues that are affecting our society. I'm saying that they are affecting our society because of the recent past, not even 1 week ago. You've seen there is someone who is cut short because of the circus of the exes thing. So I think you saw the lady was called Millie Wadok, something of the kind. Yeah, so I think Some of the exes are not worthy talking to because some other people mean harm and they are toxic and they can mean to bring you down. So I think it is not, you need to, I think as a person, you need to know who are you going to engage and why should you engage. Also, I need to bring our attention that sometimes it's not appropriate to be talking to our exes because it is like you using a sugar cane as a walking stick, and you are going to hike. You know, in the long run, you get exhausted and you need some energy or sugar cane, as in glucose, to keep you going. You may end up chewing that sugar cane. So I don't think it is appropriate to get that close and unless it is really that urgent or meaningful, a meaningful conversation. I think then it is when you can get back to your ex. Yeah.
All right. Joyce, what do you think? It is appropriate or inappropriate for you or your partner to still keep in contact with their ex or your ex?
About that, to me it's good and yet it's not good. First of all, why it's not good? It feels like a threat to the current relationship because my partner will feel like, now maybe what if they continue talking more and more and something might evolve out of that continued discussion that they have. And also it's really a threat because my spouse will be like, what if maybe she's there talking to the ex, then she ends up leaving me because now they'll solve the issues with what they had with the ex. But also, it's also a good thing to talk with your ex because there are some other people that share, maybe they were friends, they had different businesses that they were doing, they have a child in between. So when the child is in between, they are now talking to your ex. If now the child is there is no problem because it's feel like that dad should be there for the child. Yeah.
All right. Agnes, how about you? Would you like it if your ex was still in contact, if your partner was still in contact with their ex?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. I can say it's a good thing. At the same time, yeah, it's not something that is pleasing. Okay, I'll say on my side, talking to your ex, you need to create boundaries. Yeah, there should be boundaries, and I think it's good to let your current partner know about what you are talking. You two are discussing. Yeah, the communication should be open, and at the same time, it's not a good thing because there are some things you shared in common, and then you'll find that those things they are there. When you continue talking to that person, maybe you'll kind of remember the things that you are sharing in common. They were fun. You can find yourself just in a wrong path.
Slipping back to that relationship.
Yeah.
Agnes, Faith, what do you think about this? Would you like it if your partner was in contact with their ex?
Thank you for the question. What I would like to say about that, it's not bad, but at the same time, it's not good again. Just as my panelist Joyce had said, it's good if maybe you had something together, maybe you shared the same social circle, or maybe you have a child, or maybe you had a business. As long as the communication is open between you and your partner, it's healthy, I think it's good. But when we talk about the bad side of it, if it's secretive, you have not created boundaries, I think it's not good for a partner to still be in touch with their ex. Yeah.
All right. Simon, what happens now when there's no, trust and, transparency in what you two are talking about? Because as you say, familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes they'll get to a point where now this is something that it's a habit. They've grown to it. They keep on talking despite there being, a child or there being a business that is involved. What happens when there's no transparency into this and let's say they slip back into their relationship?
Okay, thank you. As we said, many relationships are actually, as a matter of fact, are built on trust, accountability and transparency, because there's no way that your current partner or your partner hides some certain things from you, there will be no transparency. And that one shows intention maybe to, let me say, cheating, if I can quote cheating, because if you are not transparent, if the time you are taking to talk to your ex, to your former partner, is questionable, then the aspect of reasonability in the current relationship comes into consideration. Because, for example, let me take it from maybe contact. If maybe it's a phone call and then you go outside when I'm in the house, that shows there's lack of transparency, because I'll not be able to tell what we are talking about, whether it's a business, whether it's maybe you are co-parenting. If I don't know what my partner is talking with their ex, lack of transparency then becomes a threat to the current nini. And this brings a lot of chaos, because actually, what are you hiding from me? Because actually when you are proposing to your girlfriend, to your boyfriend, some people tend to say, you are mine. Everything that belongs to you belongs to me. I also think that every conversation that belongs to you belongs to me. So when it is at point that you are hiding, then that shows intention as an aspect in law. Your intention, why are you hiding? There's something that you're hiding to me. So maybe still talking to your ex, maybe you are not satisfied in the current relationship, or maybe your partner was better than the current one, I don't know. But that hiding, that lack of transparency is a matter of concern we really have to look on. And lack of transparency will make the current relationship boredom, and it will just end.
Okay. Kevin, do you think even with transparency, let's say, you're telling your partner what you're talking about, of course, with your ex, does it now create room for, no sleeping back when, they say that, they want to now go and rekindle what they had? So would you say that if at all there's transparency, then there's no room for sleeping back, if at all? That could be something to consider.
And allow me to call that a conspiracy theory and debunk that myth, because it leaves some embers of fire embers, and usizime those embers. At the end of the day, they rekindle and they light a fire. So, and I believe that most of the relationship here in Kenya, they end up in a messy and rowdy way. So I think for sake of your mental health and healing, and for you to grow and think about your life and rethink again and redefine yourself, I think you need to even avoid even interacting, even seeing eye to eye, even over the phone with the person you were with. Because the moment you'll be interacting and maybe getting in touch day in, day out, it will rekindle, and when it the fire will be born again. And those memories and whatever you had, they can, at the end of the day, they can bring you together, because feelings can override logic sometimes. So I think it is not wise at all to tolerate or entertain any kind of behavior of interaction or condone in any manner. Because if you are serious that you've moved on, I think you're not supposed to. But if you have not moved on into a serious relationship, I think you can entertain that and hope that you can maybe come together again and have something in common that you have had before.
Yeah.
But if not, just move on and just proceed. Because most of the exes also, as I have researched of it, they get back to know where have you progressed, how are you progressing, are you making any remarkable progress in your life, are you any better off than wakati walikuwa na wewe, umemake any progress ya muhimu sana kushinda time walikuwa na wewe, ama uko tu. And the moment they find you that you are stagnated where you were, the time you were together, they become more happy, and even they could even want to lay some obstacles in your way to ensure that you don't move. Because the moment you observe a remarkable growth in your life, you know, they may think that they were the problem in your life and they wanateseka sana. So ni vizuri ukiachana na mtu unakata hizo ways. Yeah.
All right. Joyce, when we talk about, we are in an era where sometimes people get together because of, say, just to bounce on something or just as a backup plan. And let's say you find yourself in that particular relationship. Of course, there's transparency. So would you say that you would feel safe in that particular situation where your partner has not totally healed from their past relationship? Now they're in contact with their ex, but they keep on promising you that, of course, now they're in this relationship with you. Would you be safe in that particular relationship?
About that, I won't be safe, because if you're going into a new relationship and a serious relationship, you should cut all the strong ties that was between you and your ex. So you, my spouse, being in contact that much close with my ex, it will be like a red flag, because I'll see like here, okay, you've promised me that you will do this, and this is what will going to happen between me and my ex. But I'll be like, yes, I trust you, but I know there is something that will just rise from that being into much contact with your ex. Because being that close, you're going to even dig out like the memories that you had together. Then you start, even when maybe I was the problem, or I start now, I'll come and ask for forgiveness, and we might come back together. That's why I don't really advocate for being, if nothing that brings you together with your ex, like maybe a child or any business, you just cut the ties completely. Yeah.
I feel like it's only Kevin who is saying no to communication with the exes. The rest of you are saying, oh, it's good, oh, it's bad, and you're also giving the contrast between them. But Agnes, the question we're also asking is, transparency is there, yes. But now, you're like a backup plan for your current partner. And now, maybe you will not know if at all they're in this together with you, but now they keep that communication with their ex. Would you feel safe in that particular point? Because you said it's okay, and at the same time it's not okay, especially when kids are involved, businesses are involved. In that particular situation, how do you handle that?
Okay, I think it's not safe, according to me. But as I said earlier, yeah, boundaries are important. So when they have something common they are dealing with, for example, kids or business, they should stick to the business or the kids. And as much as transparency is there, they should not get so much in touch, because there are memories, there are sweet memories they had before it came to the breakup or what went on with them. So they can work out, and at some point you'll get their back together. Yeah.
Who should set boundaries when now the exes are involved? Is it your partner, you, or the ex? Okay,
I think my partner. Yeah, because the person is her ex, and I'm the current girlfriend. So you should just have boundaries. Yeah.
Okay. Faith, what do you think about transparency in an era where backup plan is something that we talk about a lot? And maybe you're not even sure if at all your partner is with you because they actually like you, or they actually in your relationship, for the long term. So how do you now create trust and also a form of transparency in that particular commitment that you have?
Thank you again for the opportunity. What I would like to say is, first of all, if you are not sure about your relationship, then that is not a relationship that you should be in. But then again, if you and your partner are in a relationship and he talks to his ex, in order to establish a good communication, a good transparency in that relationship, ensure that there are no secrets. If he is talking to his ex, make sure maybe you know the conversation. If they plan on meeting, maybe because they want to be with their child, you should also know, like, it should not be a secret. That's how you can create trust. And then if you're not sure about that relationship, I don't think you should be in that relationship first of all. Yeah, if you're not 100% sure if that guy he likes you or he loves you, you should not be in that relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Simon, would you agree that you have to know what your partner is talking about with their ex? That means you have to track their phone and their conversation.
Actually, a relationship is just built on mutual honesty and transparency, but not constant surveillance. Because if I were to survey you, you know, I'll be undermining some of your constitutional rights. Remember, our Constitution, Article 31, says that everyone has a right to privacy. So knowing everything about you, about what we're talking about in me, is not the essence of maybe tracking you, but there are some logic things I really need to know. When are you meeting? At what time? What is the duration? What is the... But I don't need to know what we will do there. It creates a sense of some red flags in me as a responsible person. Itakuwa ni kama ni akudharau in one way or the other. And as I said, a relationship is built on respect. So if I really want to know everything about you, then I'm not adding up. Maybe I'm not the perfect person to you, because there are some of the things that you don't want to tell me. Maybe your ex was somehow good in this, that, whatever. You cannot tell me everything, but if I really want to know everything, maybe I'm turning off your rights, the right to privacy. And from the previous point, I want, let me say, to counter what Kevin has said. Because if you really want to set boundaries that you will not allow your partner to speak to their ex, then you are undermining their rights. Our Constitution is very clear, the law is very clear. There is a right to associate with others, freedom of expression. So if I totally ban you from talking, like I cut off every communication, let us not confuse communication with closeness. You might be close to your ex or whatever, but cutting off your communication, I'm limiting your rights. And that is a possible reason, a ground for now dismantling the current relationship. Yeah,
so that they can go back to their ex.
No worry, because actually...
Because you're talking about familiarity, that's going to attempt. And at this point, you know, something in the law doesn't come to play when people are in love.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not something that people think about. But of course, we will agree that there's some point jealousy will be there, lack of trust, of course, a lot of fights. So if you're talking about boundaries are not good, then if you're saying that they should just keep in communication, what if now they go back to that particular relationship?
Okay, I was looking at this point because I don't know if it's Nania said that it is the obligation of the current partner to set that boundary, to say, I am the current boyfriend, then you are not going to interact with them, you are not going to talk with them. If you really believe in the principles of honesty, transparency, and being yourself, what we are talking to our ex, though we've said feelings beat logic, you might be tempted to do this and this, but from a point of, let me say, emotional quotient, intelligence, I'll not buy you, it's upon you. If you want really to go back and do whatever you want to do, because I also have the thinking, I might be a backup plan also. And you know, we are living in a country whereby the Gen Zs are proud of saying, I don't know, let me use kugongewa ni constant. And if it is constant, then how will we end it? Sometimes I usually overthink, and currently there is no legal framework, there is no law that governs dating. There is no law that governs relationships.
Should there be one? No.
There should be, because actually...
Why though?
For example, in Kenya now, the Marriage Act of 2014 regulates marriage relationship. Now, there's a dating relationship. I think there's a lacuna in law. We need to create a law that says this is how dating should be. Because actually, we have had some cases in court whereby the main issue is about the conduct of the people, maybe the applicant and the respondent. They were exes. They were doing a business, they broke up, and now this issue is in court. And then the thing of they were in a relationship comes into play. I think we need to have a law, though following that law will be somehow hard. We need to have a law, and I will propose because I'm a champion of coming up with lawyers. I will propose a law that governs dating, that governs partnerships in a love context. And it will be corroborative to the Marriage Act of 2014. Yeah.
Okay. Kevin.
Yes.
Now, Simon is taking us to a very interesting route. A law that governs relationship and love. A law that governs dating, similar to the one that, talks about marriage. What do you think about that, in case that is implemented?
I hear my learned friend is well informed and well versed in matters of the Constitution, which I'm not, because my specialty is far different from his. But I want to remind him that I also, let me bring another aspect of the law. I think this explains why lawyers don't do well in business. Because, in business, the customer is always right, okay? Which does not settle well with them. Yeah, so I think I need to remind him that there is privacy and secrecy, number one, in a relationship. So when someone is secrecy, starts showing secrecy, there is no transparency, and there will be no accountability. The other thing is that if we start dragging matters of constitution and professionalism into relationship and marriage, marriage will not work. Because I think if, for instance, if marriage and a relationship were entirely built on cooking skills, I think chefs would have had the best marriages. If engineers were to have the, all the kinds, if we start relating such things, I think if you are a lawyer, when you just get out of that office, wacha tu mambo ya law ikia hapo tu kwa hiyo office. Ukiingia kwa nyumba, kuwa tu husband ama boyfriend to that girl. Because, I think you've seen men even apologizing to what they don't even know. And now, tell me, this guy going with that mentality of constitutionalism and to a girl, he won't succeed. Atakuwa tu anaingia, even talking stage won't go somewhere. So it is good to always embrace hii maneno in the right context and knowing who you are dealing with. Number one, you have to know who you are dealing with. And I'm not totally against kuongea na ex, because personally I have 1 or 2 exes and we are in good terms, but we don't talk. As in, I don't see any sababu ya kuongea na, unless it is something very urgent, very important. But if we meet, if we randomly maybe cross our paths, tunaweza salimiana, uko aje, maisha inaendelea, and that's all. Because the moment I start condoning that habit of kuongea, that constant talking and checking up and all other business, I assure you that lazima mta progress.
A must.
A must.
All right. Yeah. Joyce, a law that governs relationships similar to the one that governs marriage. I think the one that governs marriage is actually nice, because now in case of a breakup, of course, you've invested so much, there are properties, maybe children are involved, businesses are involved. But now Simon is saying that him is for, a proposal that now we should have a law that governs relationship or just dating. Would you support that?
No, I will not support that, because when there, as you've said, when in marriage, yes, there is properties involved, and there must be shares that should be divided in between. But in a relationship, it's something that we've not set at any vows. We don't have any certificate that we are in a relationship. It's just both of us that we know what we are doing, you see. So when you start saying that a law to be implemented, it will be like, now ni kama unaanza kukazia watu, like ukinifanyia hivi, I'll go to sue you because you've done this and this. And mind you, hakuna any contract that you've signed that you are going to, we don't have any certificate to prove that we are in a relationship. Unlike when you are in marriage, in church there you're going to be given the certificate. If it's a marriage by court, you still have that certificate. So even when you're going to sue your partner because of anything, you have evidence, you have something that you're going to sue him against. But now in a relationship, just as Kevin has said, when you come into a relationship and you come with that mentality that when maybe if something has gone wrong, you'll be like, in article this and this it says, no, just leave that wakili thing outside there, leave that daktari thing out of there. When we're in the house, now we are two different, like, hapo hakuna mambo na professionalism. Hapo sasa like, niko sasa mimi now the baby girl in me, it's outside now. You see, like something like that.
I'll give you a chance to defend yourself, because I see you have something to say about this. But let's hear from Faith and Agnes, of course. Agnes, a law that sasa you just stay knowing that when you get into a relationship with this man, that now there's a law that if you do this and this, now the law has to come now to play. If at all you do something that doesn't sit well with that, would you agree for there to be a law that governs dating?
Okay, thank you for that question. On my side, I don't think if the law is appropriate, because love is something that is natural. It's a mutual feeling. So when you are guided by the law, there will be more restrictions to that love, and it won't be enjoyable, because you just know if I enter into a relationship, there'll be this and this waiting for me. I need to do this. If I don't do this, there's a consequence. It won't be something fun. So compared to marriage, marriage is something serious. It's a lifetime. There are children, there are investments, and all of that. But before you reach to marriage, there should be that relationship. It's a bridge to the marriage. So we can't say that the relationship right now need to have a law, because it's something that you just met someone, then you are in love with the person, you don't know the person. So you can't set the laws for a person you don't know. But according to the marriage law, this is a person you know for some time. You have decided you are going to settle with the person as your wife or as your husband. So I think putting a law in a relationship
doesn't make sense. Basically, when you're dating, you're just trying to kiss as many frogs as you can until you find your perfect frog. But Faith, what do you think about this? Maybe you're in the same line with Wakili. He's Wakili, I believe. So how do you really think this will come to play? You know, a law that governs dating. Umeingia na relationship na mtu mna date hapo, lakini ukifanya tu makosa kidogo, court.
I would say it would depend with maybe what you have done. Kama ni maybe ile kukosana tu ya relationship, that one doesn't need law. But we can find that the people who are dating, when they break up, unakuta someone goes to their house, anafanya, breaks things, anaharibu tu nyumba yake. Maybe that is where the law can come in. But ikikuwa tu the other way around, maybe we break up, at least you have done something. No, that one law I don't think law should come in. Yes. Okay. Or maybe Samuel should clarify and say law should come in the dating era at what point. Okay. Yeah.
Simon, what would it look like now that we've now, you know, gone through what you said, and you know the panel is quite confused. You need to clarify for us. Unajua tunaonanga pale social media nasema date anyone but not a wakili. Okay. You know, we see that online a lot. So how do you see that playing out if at all there's a law on dating? You know, what does it seek to solve? What gaps does it seek to fill? And what would it look like exactly?
Okay, thank you. Let me base my argument from contribution of the panel. Okay. Starting with Joyce, was saying that a relationship is not a contract. There's no formal contract that has been written that is showing that this is a relationship, this is a partnership. Okay, I understand that contracts may be made oral, written or unwritten. So in the case of a partnership, a relationship, this one is an oral contract. And there are some elements of a contract. There's an offer, invitation, acceptance, capacity. For example, in dating now, in relationships, the offer would be maybe I'm interested in you, I want you to be my girlfriend, I want you to be my boyfriend. And then the invitation, will you be then that proposing, then taking out to dates, and that is invitation, and that saga between offer and invitation. And then the acceptance is, yes, this is the man, this is the girl. Amenipatia mistari yake, this and this. I think this is the best thing. Then you accept, and then the capacity is how you conduct from there now. Are we moving on? And then when we start dating, I can say that we have entered into a contractual obligation. So I would say any relationship is a contract, but a oral contract. So in coming to your question now, answering what would it look like? You know, law is not meant to only govern, but also to create a solution in times of problems. Because actually it is in these partnerships, in these relationships, when I can partner with my ex, my partner, to do business. We are business partners, but we are not married. We do not have a certificate of marriage as the conclusive proof that we are in this marriage, because we are just dating. There's no certificate that shows these are partners. There's no. It is just implied from how we conduct ourselves, from oral agreements. But we have had a problem in courts because people come with cases saying, you know, we started this business when we were dating, and now we've broken. And then there's a problem now to establish, is this a legal wife? Is this a legal husband? And then because they were dating, it becomes is a problem because we cannot really tell how to solve this compared to the marriage now. The reason why I'm proposing for a law, not to govern, because if it is to govern this relationship, it will not work. Because even me, I cannot follow a law to my girlfriend. I know it will not work. Kevin has said people apologize what they don't know. Yeah, it happens, and if you don't apologize, utaachwa peke yako. But then the law here is meant to, in times of problems, in times of disputes, now to govern that conduct now. Maybe we were co-parents when we were in partnership, in our relationship, but the aspect of saying that this law is to govern the relationship, I also know that it might not work because I know a number of many legislations that do not work. So the law here is not to govern how we conduct ourselves, it's to govern the problem solving, the adjudication of how we solve our things there, issues to deal with children, issues to deal with co-parenting, business, and lifestyle.
So we're talking about, let's say none of that is involved, then now law, unaona si lazima ingilie kati. As long as there's businesses, there's children, of course, and properties involved, that is when the law should come in, according to you. Okay,
the law should be there even from the beginning, because we do not need to create law when we are in a problem. Yeah, creation of law is not something to take for emergency. For example, I can say during the COVID-19, we came up with measures to address COVID-19. That was because of emergency. Let the law be there, but in times of problem, let the law be applicable. If we are not having a problem, let the law just be itself, resting there in books. Because you cannot tell, you have a partner today, and your partner maybe decides, let me surprise you, I'll take you to a nice place. You go to, you have your fun there, you know, yeah, this is the best. Then you decide, if you're a girl now, you're the lady, you decide maybe I can be pregnant for him. That was not, you did not decide that. Ama you never knew, there's no predictability about that, co-parenting. Ama when you are there, you just see some good entrepreneurs there selling some good things, and then you say, oh, would you buy for me this? Would you empower me to start this business. You never knew that you can start this business, but because of that maybe date, that need, you start that business. So saying a law should not be there, we are wrong. Let us stick to the point that let the law be there, because you cannot predict co-parenting. You cannot predict business. Businesses do start, and some start at very funny hours of the night when people are there having their nice time. A business will start from there. Co-parenting will start from there. So you cannot predict. So let the law be there to counter in times of problems.
All right. Just hold on there. We are coming back with this particular conversation. You're talking about your partner still being in contact with their ex. How do you feel about that particular situation? Interact with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, and on X as well as at TV47 News KE. We'll be back after this break.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe's Relationship Wednesday. We are talking about partners and exes. If your partner is still in contact with their ex, how do you go about that particular situation? We are live on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. There will be a line shortly on your screen. You can call in as well to be part of this conversation, of course. Now, there is something that Simon also brought up. And he said relationship is a contract. Kevin, is it a relationship's contract?
To some extent, yes, I agree it is a contract, because when you're coming together, you have to consent whatever you're doing, whatever you want to do, and what you'll be doing. Also, since we have likened a relationship to a contract, I also want to remind him that in a contract, there's also things that may lead to breach of contract. Yeah, so, and all contracts are not the same. You know, every contract has its own rules and rules that govern. That's where now the laws and whatever this thing comes in. When we come together, we have signed a contract. We have to agree what works for us. And if somebody goes against that, now that becomes something that breaches our contract. And now those measures that have to bring us back to the track have to be applied. Now, I think to the relationship contract, I think the law should come in, if necessary, if it goes to an extreme in terms of maybe property and maybe parenting things. Or somebody, maybe a father does not want to take a responsibility and ownership of his burden, and maybe he doesn't want to give an upbringing of the children and maybe paying school fees. In that kind of situations, I think the law should come in and act swiftly to uphold and apprehend this man. If he's in a position to pay maybe the fee and all other bills that he's supposed to be paying, he should. On that one I agree. But not all other things, petty things that are maybe ulikuwa unafaa kufika 6 kwa nyumba, umefika 9, ulikuwa wapi, wacha tuende kwa law. On that one, it won't work. The law won't work, because I think the law is also supposed to be focusing on important things that should make us grow as a country and other things, not on petty issues that we should always agree on. Yeah.
And of course, Simon, I'm sure the law does protect, people who are, say, when children are involved. Of course, there's Children Act that the Constitution also says something about it, about the protection of children. What would you say about that particular point that Kevin has just brought up?
Okay, there's this principle that is called the best interest of the child principle. In case of a dispute, in case of any matter that is of concern, then the interest of children prevail over others. Number one, to answer him, or rather to take some stand for him, number one, I have to say, who is obligated to make the law? The law can be made by the government, and the law can be made by the partners. Because if, for example, I'm your partner, I can tell you, when it's past 10 p.m., don't be here. So that is a law, you know it. So even when you are there clubbing, you are out there, when it's past 10 p.m., I'll get into a dispute. I will not be given this and that. It will be tough with capital T. So the thing is, who has to make the law? So I will give a take that the law should be made by the government to protect those vulnerable groups, because a child is a vulnerable group to that extent now. Then let the government create the law there. But now, when it comes to our petty issues, our petty things, we are the ones to come up with the law. We are the ones to institutionalize the law, and we are the ones to internalize it. Because I'm very sure, Kevin, if you get into a relationship today and your ex tells you, don't wear this.
Your ex or partner?
Oh, your partner, your current partner tells you, don't wear this, and gives you some reasons why you're not wearing this. Maybe you'll be seen there, outside there. Or don't shave this way. I'm a trim your rendezvous this way. I'm sure you will follow, because you want to suit her needs there, and maybe because you love her very much uncontrollably, I'm sure you will follow. And that is a law that has been made by your partner, not by the government. So who is making the law and how it is applying, then it is the main consideration here. But protecting vulnerable groups like children, let the government be the government, because that is one of the obligations of why we have a government. Yeah.
So don't you think that often fuels gender-based violence in relationships? When you're saying that if your partner tells you you have to wear this and not wear this, then when you wear, it now creates disputes. Isn't that ground for GBV in relationships, whether for the man or the women? Because we won't just ignore that men don't go through GBV, they also go through this. So isn't that ground for that?
And we have a lacuna in addressing such. But let me argue my point from implied consent. Implied consent would mean that if she tells me the first day, don't be late, and then the first day I'm not late. The second day, don't be late. The second day, I'm not late. For a week, she tells me, don't be late, I'm not late. That creates a sense of implied consent, that I have agreed to these terms. I'm not late by myself. So from the issue of gender-based violence, now to tackle it will be like, has there been implied consent? Because if I opposed our takes, our views from the beginning now, that I will be able to now base my argument from gender-based violence. Now you are oppressing me, you are now telling me you are taking some of my rights, But now, to tackle this one, or rather to address this one, let us look at implied consent. If I'm really ready to go by her terms, to accept what she says, then that is implied. There's no point that we'll have some enough and reasonable grounds for gender-based violence, unless we have maybe, let's say, like, things to deal with crimes against humanity, sometimes oppression, this. But if I have implied to go through it, then there's no ground. But I have not implied, then that is a serious nini, and we really need to address gender-based violence, because men do go through gender-based violence in relationships, and that is something that has always been there, and there's no single legislator in Kenya who is trying to address that. All the time we hear about, if we are talking about gender-based violence, the main topic is the interest of girl child. The main topic is about the woman in that relationship. Nobody is talking about boys. I have also been assaulted in my previous relationship.
Physically or emotionally?
Emotionally, financially. And when I say financially, you know, we usually say we have to live within our means. So if you come, I will give a unreasonable and realistic demand that I bring you an iPhone tomorrow worth almost 200,000, and I'm using a phone of less than 10,000. Is that torture? Is that financial oppression? Yeah, so I've suffered financially, emotionally, physically.
Interesting. Joyce, should relationships be that hard when you're talking about now curfews and your partner telling you what to wear and what not to wear? You should do this, you should not do this. Should it be that hard?
Yes, not okay. Let me say it like it's not supposed to be that serious. Okay, I'm telling you not to do that because I have my own reasons. You see, and you should also look in a way of even you understanding my point of view, that why I'm telling you don't do this and this. Maybe if I'm not good with it, and being in a relationship, both of us should be in good terms. Not that you're doing things, then I'm the one hurting. Our relationship, here we should also look on our mental health. Like, neza kuwa nakwambia hivyo, then you go on and do against what I'm saying. I'll feel like if you love me, you should do what I want, or you should not make me feel hurt and by doing things that I don't like. That's why even in that dating times, even the last time I was here, we were talking about is dating then. During that time of dating, you should know the likes and dislikes of that person. So if you do something that I don't like, that feels like, it's like disrespecting me. You're not respecting me, and you're not, like, you don't want to do what I want, because maybe when you're doing that, you're maybe outside there, you're attracting people by doing that. But to me, I feel like it's not the right thing that you're doing. Yeah.
Agnes, what do you think? When now your partner tells you, oh, you should wear this, you should not wear this, you should come back home by 6 p.m., by 9 p.m., you should not be outside. Will that sit well with you if you are in that particular arrangement?
Okay, I think the don'ts and the does, it depends on what the person is telling you not to do and what you should supposed to do. And the reason behind it really matters. Okay, because you'll find someone telling you should not be on the social media platforms, you should not go to, go to something that, something that you'll find it interesting on your own, but the person, because of some, naweza sema kukua na ni benefits zake. Yeah, I don't know if it's the right word to use. Yeye anaona ukienda huko, maybe there is something you're gaining na hafurahi. Yeah, so I think you should just know what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. And if there is something you need to adjust, or your partner needs to adjust, he or she should tell you the reason behind it. If it's a good reason, you should go by it. If it's a bad reason because of some personal gains or benefits, I don't think if it's right.
Okay. Faith, you know, sometimes, let's say your ex is telling you need to dress, your partner is telling you need to dress a particular way, or you need to, you know, do your hair in a certain way. Maybe sometimes when you do that, it does remind them of their ex, if maybe they're emotionally attached. Now, what happens when you discover that if they're indeed telling you need to do your hair like this, you need to dress like this, you need to, let's say maybe they want you to slim to look a certain way. If you find out that that is, you know, the idea of it now, this boundary is being created, you need to come back home at this time, you need to dress like this, you need to do this and this. How do you handle that?
I would say if my partner starts telling me to do this, do that, okay, there are some grounds on which I can compromise some things, but if it starts to feel like it's controlling, you know, mtu anakaa ni kama he owns you, like, unaona, so there I would say no, because alafu pia when you found me, maybe I was slim ama I was a bit,
yes, know, big.
Yeah. And then maybe I'm comfortable with my body, but you start saying, oh, I'm not fitting your standards, I should slim, you know, and it starts to feel controlling, and it doesn't even pose a health problem. You know, I would start to feel it's a bad thing because I would feel like you are controlling me. It's like you're owning me. And in a relationship, we should be two people of different worlds coming together and understanding each other. But on the part of compromising, I would compromise some things so that my partner can feel, maybe he can feel maybe safe, or he can feel open about it. And then if it's not, if he has given me a good reason on maybe if you do this, or if you come to at 9 p.m, you will not maybe meet uko nje, maybe kuna vitu zinafanyikanga, I would compromise. I would come. But if it starts to feel controlling, I would not do it. Yeah, I would feel it's bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Simon, what would you say about, you know, the people who say my ex is actually my best friend? Is that maturity or emotional confusion? Because there are people who say that I am still best friends with my ex, and now there is constant communication.
Okay, yeah. It depends on how do you define a friend. Because actually...
A best friend.
Best friend.
Yes.
From how I know the definition of a friend and a best friend, in nowadays, in current generation, it has been trickled down to bestie. Yeah. So when my current partner is saying that my ex is still my best friend, I'll take it from a bestie point. And a bestie nowadays, they say friends with whatever, friends with benefits. I don't know if they are friends without benefits, but they call it friends with benefits. So they know what they say. So if she is really saying that my ex is my best friend, honestly, no one is immune to emotions. So my thinking will be, oh, this is bestie. Oh, then that kugongewa ni constant, it's now alive. So I'll not be happy with it. It is not appropriate for me, because why should you keep on telling me each and every day? Why should you keep on reminding me that the ex is your best friend? There's no logic. If you're best friend, keep it to yourself. I don't need to know, because you are hurting me, because how it's like you are approving kugongewa, and I'm the victim here. I'll not accept it. It's not good to me. Yeah.
So Kevin, would you be okay with your partner still being, you know, best friends with their ex? Na unajua ukweli hawa nao ni best friends.
You know, we are Kenyans, and we Kenyans, we know our characters. and we always become our anger of our times. So like now, allow me to come up with I'm same wenye nasema that hakuna mkate ngumu ama hakuna mkate yenye inaweza kauka mbele ya chai. So with that I think bestie with a lot of communication and strings attached, I think at the end of the day unaweza gongewa. Yeah, kama ukiona mtu wako ana akili vizuri sana na na si mtu wa kuaminika na anakuambia mambo ya bestie and their bestie this and that, I think you need to be on the lookout. Because at the end of the day unaweza pata umetolewa kwa serikali kama Gachagua.
Well, let's hear from the ladies as well, because you know there's some point where maybe your partner says he has a best friend, and now say he also has, you know, the ex, let's say, is his best friend. Akona best friend na ex pia ni best friend, let's say. So which situation is quite complicated? Think about it.
From the first thing, defining a best friend. A best friend is someone that you always...
Are we live?
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for watching Morning Cafe. Thank you for staying with us. We are talking about partners and exes relationships. If your partner is still in constant communication with their ex, how would you feel about that situation? And Joyce, I asked you a question about your partner still having a best friend, of course, and being best friends with their ex, which is quite a critical contract or thing to think about if you're talking about best friend as an ex and a best friend in general.
First, being with an ex is the one that should be very crucial, because from the definition of a best friend is someone that you are like, he or she knows you in and out. Whenever you have a problem, you might not turn to your spouse as the first person, but you can turn to your best friend as the first person, because now they know you very well, and they know you inside and out more even than your partner knows you. So if my partner is in contact with his ex, I'll feel like that's like a red flag, because it's like digging out what was buried already. You see, like they'll be now so close because as they are best friends already, now that means that they are already close. Then they had a relationship before, so that will be like a red flag to me, and I won't really be in that relationship, because I'll feel like it's like I'm now your second option, because now. Because if she's your ex, now she came before me. So I'll feel like maybe I'm just here, but there is a relationship that is going on, and I'm not knowing about it. But if my spouse has a best friend, and kwanza hapo akikuwa na best friend lady, hey, it's like also a red flag, because I'll be like, hey, what are you guys talking about hapo hivyo ndani? And maybe yes, you know, there is this thing that best friends take each other out and for like just a friend's date, just for a cup of coffee. And I don't know about it. And the best friend is a lady.
Yeah.
It will be then hapo kuna wanga na besti chubui.
Hapo ndo zinaanza.
Hapo ndo sasa zitaanza.
Okay. Agnes, what would you feel, how would you feel if your partner had a female best friend? Is it a yes or a no for you?
Okay. I'm
Or,
not sure.
or are you a female best friend to somebody's man? Because the way you posed, I'm a shipper. How will that make you feel?
Okay, what I can say, having a best friend is not something bad, but where it will come to have some complication, yeah, the time that you're spending with your best friend. Compared to the time that you're spending with your partner. Yeah, I think there it will bring many issues and you won't know when you're jealous, but you'll be jealous of the other person because the person makes your partner feels more comfortable. You're together and you'll find that maybe you're together, you have a date, a planned date, then all of a sudden your best friend calls. So who will you choose? Okay, it should just bring some complications there.
What if, let's say now, the ex is constant communication?
Okay, the ex being a best friend, that one is a no for me, a big no.
Okay.
Because the ex being a best friend, when you have a best friend, it means friend is someone that you tell everything. When you're not okay, she or he is the first person to know you're not okay. So for instance, yeah, you have problems with your partner. Yeah, then you need to talk to your best friend. And in that case, your best friend is your ex. So you start explaining to your ex, oh, I did this.
Yeah.
Will he or she give you? It just be.
Joyce is saying, come back to me.
Yeah, that will be the answer. Because the person will start telling you, even if our relationship was bad, I didn't reach to this level, I was better than him, I was good, so it's a no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Agnes, Faith, how about you? Would you be okay if your partner had a female best friend? Let's start there.
Female best friend, you know, I cannot, because if we flip the coin, my partner won't be comfortable if I had a male best friend.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it a red flag for you, men? We'll hear from them. Just Faith.
Yeah, so for me, alafu pia then if you look at the dynamic of, is there any emotional tension between them? Unajua, if I'm a girl, I would know how to react when I want a person. So if I see you together, maybe hanging out, and I see the way you treat your best friend, or I see the way the best friend treats you, I would know maybe she wants you, or maybe she wants me to feel jealous. So for me, a best friend, especially a female best friend, it's a no. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's platonic relationship, then that one is okay. But best friend, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Simon, that issue of, having best friends, do you have issues with your partners having male best friends?
As I told you, in formation of a government, there's always a president, a deputy president, and the others follow. If I'm the president, probably the ex in many occasions is the deputy president. So, and you've seen how deputy presidents have been sworn in nowadays. So, if she has a bestie, no, I'll not approve, because that is the incoming now deputy president, who will be sworn in any time, unconditionally, without any restriction, anywhere. So I'm not happy with it. I'm not comfortable with it. Even from, let me take it from a theological perspective. There's nowhere in the whole holy books have seen that there was a woman, a lady, who was having male besties. I've not heard, and I stand guided if I'm not familiar with theological
Kevin will guide us. He likes to draw reference from the Bible.
Yeah, I stand guided because I've not had. But for men, I have some quite. I don't want to support such because I am not of that position, because I really respect everybody. I really respect my current partner. So collaborating with theological Nini will be a bit, I'll not be respecting the Nini, but I'm not comfortable with my current girlfriend having that best friend, that ex as the best friend. I'm not familiar, I'm not happy with it.
Hiyo umekataa. Hi, Kevin. Now, what emotional red flags should someone watch out for if their partner is constantly chatting with their ex?
You know, if there is less attention that you get receiving less attention that compared to the one that you are receiving, communication start dwindling and such things. I think at that time you should being informed that there is something that is not getting right somewhere, and that's the time that you should check in and maybe try to evaluate what is happening and why it should be happening, and maybe if it is possible to rebuild before it breaks, the better. Because the moment you start pointing fingers at that moment, it is likely to fall. So that's the time you need to sit down and evaluate. Maybe if there has been a weakness somewhere, that's the time that you need to re-evaluate and redefine yourself. Collect yourself and build a new trajectory and what you should expect. Yeah.
All right. Joyce, from where you sit, what are the red flags that would look at and say, no, this is a red flag, it doesn't sit well with me, if your partner was in constant communication with their ex? Regardless of their whatever is tying them together, be it kids, business, whatever partnership they had, what are the red flags that you would look out for?
I'll look out for maybe, okay, in a relationship there are the ups and downs. Now maybe when we're not in good terms or when we are arguing, you just keep reference to your ex. Like maybe if my ex was called Kevo, I'll just be like, even Kevo was better than you, even Kevo, you see, I'll just see up evo kweli, ujahil bado, like you're not yet out of that person. Because if you just keep on mentioning now and then, and I already know, yes, Kevo was your ex, so now I keep on repeating that and I already know. So hapo nitaona kama even when maybe now the way that you're continuing talking and into much contact with your ex, maybe your ex now is taking that advantage to start and build something or to start and mend something that he or she had destroyed. Now if you keep on mentioning now that person now and then, I'll get tired and I'll just ask you, ujachana nae, then just go back to him, because ni kama you just continue torturing me emotionally. No, ni kama maybe I'm here, but it's like I'm dating myself and you are there dating the other person. Yeah. Okay.
Agnes, red flags that you would look out for if your partner was in communication with their ex?
Okay, I can say when my partner feels more comfortable or safe being around my ex.
Their ex.
Being around their ex, I think that's a red flag. Then, the conversations they're having, the phone calls and all that, when they're not transparent, you'll find a way that the ex is calling, then your partner goes to a hidden place to answer the phone call. When you have their phone, then a text pops up. He doesn't want you to read the message, or there's just no transparency. When they're having their conversation.
All right. Faith, how about you? Red flags when your partner now is in constant communication with their ex?
First of all, if there is secrets, they're communicating, but secretly, they don't tell me.
How would you know they're secrets? If at all they're not telling you, you're not catching them, how would you know that they're keeping something from you?
You're constant, ukienda kuangalia simu yake, hataki maybe, or maybe when they're in a phone call, they go somewhere and take the phone call when you're not, ama anatoka tu anaenda anachukulia phone call maybe kwa bafu, you know, something like that. Those are, if they don't keep boundaries, like maybe their ex anataka something, maybe he wants to, anapiga simu anasema I want to see you right now, and then he's like I'm going, you know, they don't keep boundaries, they don't respect you, that constant comparison. Yeah,
All right.
those are the red flags.
So Simon, would you say constant contact with an ex should be grounds for breakup?
I'll not, because I said people become exes because of many things. Number one could be betrayal or dysfunction. That could be a ground for that could make people become exes. Or maybe, like I said earlier, geographical reorganization. For example, when I was young, there was that girl I was interested in, but wakaenda kaunti ingine. So that due to geographical reorganization, maybe ni ex in one way or the other. I'm taking hiyo kama example nikiwa mtoto, but in reality kuna watu wamekuwa hivyo sasa wakiwa kubwa due to many things or any other thing. So this constant kukua pamoja with them might not be a good ground for separation with the current nini now, because for example, if you became exes because of maybe a ground yenye haikuwa ati very strong vile, mnarudiana hapo, maybe you are there talking about maybe your children, your business, your whatever, then that constant nini, I cannot stop your business, because if I derive you your economic freedom, then you become then I deprive my economic freedom from myself. So if I stop your business, then I bring that obligation to myself. I'm the one to cater for everything that you are doing. So you can be talking to your ex, you can be having that contact, but actually it's not a good ground, because maybe if you are just communicating with them due to business, rather co-parenting, it's not good. But if there is no business, there is no co-parenting, it's just for fun, or rather that bestie thing. For me, it's a ground to terminate it, and I'll just terminate. I'll never know. You just know uko mbele. Unaachwa before, like unatoka before uachwe.
As our wakili, is in that now emotional abuse?
For me, because I'm the one who is doing, we live because of two things: survival and self-preservation. So me, there's no way I can hurt myself. So I better prevent kuji-hurt me mwenyewe. It's upon you, when you go to that court, you have to prove that nilikuat. Because I took my decision, I left, nili-prevent what I saw coming. Niliona, nitakuja kuumia. And men really go through painful experiences when it comes to breakups. So I better look at myself, and then wewe uko mbele, you are the one to prove that I hurt you, that I did the emotional what. You are the one, then the burden of proof shifts to you. I don't know if I've abused you. Yeah, so that's my take.
All right. Kevin, how do you start the conversation in something about your partner's ex doesn't sit well with you without sounding insecure if you bring that conversation up with your partner?
Come up once more.
Let's say your partner, now they're in communication with their ex. How do you now start that conversation that, you know, something about their communication is a bit off and doesn't sit well with you, of course, without sounding insecure?
I think we can always agree on the right way to address that issue. You can even bring a real life example, maybe like this one that is making rounds online, but I think it's a bad incident to use, but you know, we have to be alive to the current matters and issues that are happening with the society. You know, you can use that example and apply it to, and maybe you can even bring an allegory, a myth. You can look for the best way to tell the truth in love, you know, without him or her noticing that you are attacking him directly. And if the person you are addressing does not seem to be connecting or willing to adhere to whatever you're saying, now you can address the matter head on. And so that from you addressing that matter head on, you can assess the reaction that the outcome of the way you have addressed the matter. You can assess, is the person willing, is he doing this thing out of consent, out of contempt, or out of maybe guilt tripping you. Now from there you can assess the situation of the whatever the person is doing. Now from there you can be able to know you can able to know the direction this matter is taking. Now I think if the person has been doing this unwillingly or unknowingly, or maybe he has been doing it out of good faith and he has been thinking it sits well with you, I think now you can restructure the way or regulate the way he has been doing it. If he's not willing, I think that can provide a solid ground for you to
Leave.
To think otherwise, not leave, but think otherwise, maybe and take a radical action that can switch your interest. Yes.
Taking radical action, when you say that, you know Kenyans might misinterpret it, because we've seen people actually killing each other because of these issues.
Yeah, I'm not actually advocating for toxic relationship and toxic habit and erratic characters in a relationship. You know, we can always agree on these matters. It is not about life and death, you know. Yeah, you can always take a break, redefine, rebuild yourself, and even come back together when you are all in a good state, mental state. And also to remind you that I think this month is a men's mental health month. I think men should embrace sharing our challenges and our mental breakdowns to the men we trust and other people who we trust, so that we can always find possible solutions to our challenges. I know it is hard, but we pray that we find it good in our hearts, so that for the sake of our mental sanity and mental health, and for the sake of sanitizing our society, we have to take care of our mental health. And if you see something is just there's something taking your mental health, I think it is worthy you leaving that thing and focusing on another thing. Yeah, I don't think that there is something wanted to stake on your mental health.
All right.
Yeah.
Joyce, same question. How do you bring up that conversation that, you know, you're constantly talking to your ex and it's making me feel uncomfortable, I do not agree with this, without of course sounding insecure? How do you start off with that conversation?
First of all, you should be people who accept correction. And when you're in a relationship, you should not be there with ego, like usikue hapo na kiburi, because mimi niko na kiburi yangu, uko na yako, so si wote tukipandisha, like that will be like a volcano that will erupt out of there. So we should be like people who are able to accept correction. And I tell you from a point of view that I'm not okay, you see? And if you love me, you should always be there, and you should also always be concerned of my well-being and even in my emotion. Not only be there financially, like, and stuff, but even mostly being in a relationship, your spouse will be your number one support and your number one person who should be there for your emotional support. So I'll address it and I'll tell you, like, I'm not okay with it, and I'll not show you, okay, eventually, as you'll just conclude it off, like you're not, it's like a jealousy in a way, but I'm talking it from a point of view that I'm not okay and I'm not fine with the continual conversation that you have with your ex. So if you love me and you really respect me, you should be the one now to know that my spouse is not happy with it, and now you, because I can't talk to your ex, now you are the only person you are communicating with. Now you go and tell your ex that my spouse is this and this, and she's not okay with that continued conversation that we're having. So up if my spouse is the one talking to the ex, he should be the one who to set boundaries, because I'm not the one to set boundaries, because I don't know what you and your ex had before. So you're the one to set boundaries. You tell him that, you tell now your ex that my girlfriend is not okay with it, and I don't want her to hurt because of what you're doing. Because you can't be, if you enter in a relationship with a hurting heart, you're going to hurt me. And yet I moved from a relationship when I was already healed. So you're just going to hurt me and it won't go anywhere. Yeah.
All right. Agnes, how do we start that conversation without feeling insecure and or you're jealous or you have issues that you're dealing with, you don't want me to talk to, let's say, the mother of my child or my business partner? How do you bring up that conversation?
Okay, I can say like in a relationship, I think communication is key. So and also maturity matters, because you can't have communication with someone who is immature. Okay, it's bad to use that word, but there are some people who are immature. Yeah, so when someone is mature and you just have to tell the person, I don't feel okay about this, about you having that conversation with your ex. Yeah, I feel insecure, and the person will just understand you, and he will see the right way to deal with it. And I can also see the right way to deal with it is not a must. You go tell your ex. You can just cut the communication, or rather reduce the communication to a point where you are talking of something important. Yeah, there is no that constant communication every now and then, and you'll just be okay with your current part. Yeah.
So there's no way unaendea mtu ati I'm coming to you as a woman?
No.
As a cousin.
As a cousin. What are those situations now when now umeona umeambia your partner that you're not feeling insecure, but you're not feeling safe about their conversation and communication, and he doesn't act on it, or she doesn't act on it? Then how do you deal with that situation, Faith?
If I tell my partner that I'm not comfortable with him doing this, or with him maybe talking with their ex, and they don't, what I can do is that, for me, when I go into a relationship, I already have my boundaries set. So if you don't like meet the boundaries, I would say that you're not respecting me, and I would want to end the relationship. I would tell you, because you have disrespected my boundaries, I don't see anything going on between us. Yeah, that's how I would act upon it. Because if I would to break his boundaries, I think he would do the same. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Simon, what do you think about that? You've told your mama that, you're in constant communication with this guy. You're talking about 1, 2, 3, and it makes me feel a certain way that is not a good way. And then they don't act on it. Then what do you do in that situation?
Because actually, I take anything and any fact as a ground for anything. If I tell you to stop this, if I tell you I'm not happy with it, if you really value me, if you really think that me as the current partner, I'm of great essence, great help to you, like I'm the real deal. If you were to get into marriage today, we would marry. You will stop if you really love me. But if you don't, maybe the ex now is better than me. And I'll tell you for a fact, because I've seen many relationships, some people still have their exes, but they love them very much. There are some characters which their exes head that they cannot live without. I don't know how that logic is, because if I betray you, if I deny you, if I hurt you, but you're still in love with some of my characters, I don't know how to bring to an equilibrium on how the emotions are. I don't understand. But if I tell my ex I'm not happy with this, if I tell my partner I'm not happy with this, when you are doing it with your ex, and you decide not to take action, not to respect, not to obey, I'll just say that is disrespect. You don't value me. And I told you, an equitable remedy is just to resign. I'll just move out. I'll not tell you, but for me, for equitable remedy, I'll just move out. Yeah.
All right, let's get some feedback. Njoki is saying, the question was, would you be okay if your partner was still in communication with their ex? Anasema, absolutely not. I believe in boundaries. If you've moved on, act like it. What could you possibly still be discussing with your ex? Kelvin anasema, it depends on the nature of their communication. If it's respectful and transparent, I would not mind. But anything secretive, that's a no for me. Sandra anasema, she's watching from Thika. If they share a child, I get it. But if they're just catching up for old time's sake, that's a hard pass. I'm not a placeholder while you relieve nostalgia. Kipto anasema, I'd be okay with it. I'm secure in myself and I don't think every ex is a threat. Some people genuinely maintain platonic relationships. Do you agree that not every ex is a threat, Kelvin?
Yeah, I agree.
Do you agree, Joyce? Not every ex is a threat.
Yes. Not every
Okay.
ex is a threat.
All right. Mudhoni Tabitha anasema, I've been in that situation before and it always ends in heartbreak. They say they were just friends until they weren't.
Yeah, sure.
Simon.
Yeah.
Tabitha anasema, they say they were just friends until they weren't. They went back to dating.
Yes. Remember when you said someone might be a backup plan? Maybe you are giving your ex some time to finish some things. Maybe, let me give a logical example. Maybe you are in a relationship today and maybe your current partner has got a new job in the diaspora. Then situation will force him or her to go for the new job. And then you take somebody else, then you start something for probably like 1 year or 2 years. You still communicate with the so-called ex, of which I don't think is the ex. And upon coming back, you get married. Then you might be saying, we are friends, we are besties, until you are not. I remember May 17th, this popular singer says, I don't know,
Stella
wangu, Japanese, what. He thought that when he was here, that's theory of bestie. Now, but the governments do change, so I agree with Tabitha. Yeah.
Okay. Head to go nani. Mwenda anasema, to be honest, I would not even ask. If I have to monitor who they talk to, then we already have a trust issue. Aisha anasema, no way, it's emotional cheating for me. If you need closure of friendship, go be with them, not me. Faith, do you agree that that's emotional cheating if you're in constant communication with your ex? Aisha anasema, that's emotional cheating.
I wouldn't say it's emotional cheating if it's maybe constant, secretive, you're not open about it. It's bringing mnashinda mkikosana with your current partner. Yeah, that's when I would say it's emotional
cheating.
Yeah.
How about you, Agnes? Emotional cheating in a relationship, if they keep on talking to their ex, would you consider that as emotional cheating?
Okay, I can say emotional cheating according to the context of what they are talking about. Yeah, because you'll find some conversation are maybe I can say personal, or they are more of iko na love sana. Yeah,
Okay.
that should be emotional cheating.
All right.
Yeah.
As we close, of course, we have like 3 more. Odhiambo anasema, I think communication with an ex should only happen when necessary, like co-parenting, otherwise it feels like keeping one foot in the past. Mbogo anasema, I think it's fine as long as I'm also allowed to communicate with mine. Let's keep it fair. Sasa we anasema it's, you know, it's goal. Alafu finally Njao anasema, not okay. That's playing with fire. I've seen too many situations where old flames got reignited, not under my watch. Kelvin, is being uncomfortable with your partner communicating with their ex a red flag, or you're just being human?
You're just being alive to your, ensuring that you are safe. You know, if you become too comfortable, I think again that will come a ground to give him a go ahead. Maybe sometimes even, let's say the one who is being too lenient to her, that there is no problem maybe having being open to her ex. I think sometimes you may think umpendi, mbona hata niulizi naongea na yeye kwa nini, maybe hata yeye hata afuatilie sana. You know, you need to show that level of jealousy. You don't need to be too jealous, but you need to be concerned. What are you talking, and why should you talk at this particular time and this particular period? And what are you talking about? Is it really necessary for you to communicate? Yeah, I think you need to be, I don't want to say to surveil her, ama him, but you need to be, at least to be concerned and alive to whatever he or she is doing. Yeah.
All right. Simon, how should these boundaries look like now as we close this conversation? Say now that you're in constant communication with your ex, of course, because of 1, 2, 3. She's also in communication with your ex. Now, of course, you need to set boundaries in that particular situation. How should these boundaries look like for peace to, to be retained and for peace to be maintained in your relationship?
I'll propose for logical and reasonable boundaries in the sense that from how you communicate with them, how you talk, the frequency and the longevity of your talking, and the conduct of how you talk, I'll just need to have some regulation in a way that if you talk with your ex for business matters, for co-parenting, for whatever, I'll regulate, I'll give you the freedom you talk, but I'll not be too good, because some learned men in the Americas many years back said, if the deal is too good, think twice. So if I'm just comfortable without a good boundary, then I'll be taking a very bad trajectory na itakuwa mbaya sana. But for me, boundaries would look like, if I were to define the boundaries I would have, just give me respect. If you give me respect, that is a good boundary, because if you really respect me, automatically the boundaries are there. There are some conversations you cannot have. There are some things you cannot, there are some affairs you can never think of. So like, for me, I'll define the boundaries to be from respect, from honesty, from mutual understanding. And I'll create an obligation to you, because I really respect you, I understand you, I value you. I'll take that obligation to me, so that if I'm regulating, that is the automatic boundary that you may never step out of it. So respect would be the boundary for me. Yes.
All right. Kevin, how does those boundaries look like for you?
I think for me, I just ask for respect and loyalty. I think that's how I can perceive love from a lady that loves, who I should say that she loves me. Yeah, so to a large extent also, the boundaries should be also practical. You know, they have to be practical, isikue as in something that is only possible in a movie, something that is true fictional. You have to be practical, you have to be human, and this also comes with putting God first, being good ambassadors of Christ. You know, if we put God first and we do what really God wants us to do, hatakuwa na pressure mingi. Yeah, so and when you are doing something that nobody's, hakuna mtu anaona kitu nafanya, I think when you are doing the best thing and nobody's seeing, I think that's the best thing to do. Yeah, so we need to be honest, loyal, and obedient and respectful to our partners for a successful relationship. Yes.
All right. Joyce, what will make you feel safe in that situation when now boundaries need to be created, when your partner now is in constant communication with their ex?
He should not make me feel like be the DCI. If he's in that continual conversation with the ex, he should be open to me, and he should hapo hivyo ndo tunaweka respect the communication aniambie what they are talking about, and also kukuwe na that honesty and transparency, because as long as hiyo imeshafichwa hapo ni kama there is something that you're doing behind my back that you don't want me to know. So you should be open to me and also tell me, don't make me be that DCI that I'm always on your phone checking what the conversation is. I should not be the one to follow up. You should be the one actually telling me, not make me be the DCI.
All right, thank you so much, Joyce, for that. Maybe we can get just in 2 seconds, tuchukue fedha, only 2. What will make you feel safe in that situation, Agnes?
Okay, I think maybe when they are having their conversations, the person can make it. It seems for most people they have ego, so they'll see like it's something that they don't want to do. But you can make your partner to feel more safe when the conversations are held. You are there with your partner. Yeah,
right,
I think that will help.
For me, I would say you should limit the time you are spending with each other, communicating. Be open about it. Make sure your partner is comfortable with you speaking with your ex. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for making time for us to have this conversation today in this episode of Relationship Wednesday. All right. Right about now, we'll be crossing over to... We're going for a very short break at this point, and then after this point, we'll be crossing over, of course, to Senate, where the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, of course, will be appearing there for a brief regarding the murder of Albert Ojwang, who died in police custody earlier this week. Stay with us.